Hey guys, it's it's sometimes quite humbling to see how quickly this channel's grown and how much success we've got, and also how much exposure. And it's not just to the people in Australia or New Zealand that I'm appealing to. In fact, in the last 28 days, I've had over 100,000 people watching some of my programs, and they're all about Bali, and they're all about trying to encourage people to come here to Bali. One thing that became very aware to me after having a discussion at a pub, funny enough, with a gentleman sitting to my left-hand side here, Indrajit, was that the content that I'm putting together for Australia is also very applicable in some ways to a massive market of tourism that's not really being touched much at all, and that's to Bali from India. So, or also you were saying from Malaysia and other countries where there are a lot of Indian population within that country. So I thought it'd be a really good idea to sit down and talk to someone that's not just an Aussie off the plane or a Westerner, but also to talk to someone that's also from Southeast Asia and talk to them about what their experience coming here to Bali is. And Indrajit's been coming here for something like
Little over a decade.
over a decade. So it'd be interesting just to see from his perspective how things have changed and the situation over here. So welcome along.
Thank you so much, Murray.
I'm really keen just to get some casual thoughts about what you think about Bali in general, from someone coming from a country like India.
Well, I've been coming here, like I said, for the last, I think, 12 years now. And, pre-pandemic to what it is today, the silver lining that I'm seeing is that everything seems to be bouncing back. Yes, a bit slowly, but I think it's getting there very slowly. Happy to see that. And as a place, Bali has always been my absolute favorite holidaying destination.
So, from your perspective, how has the trip been with relation to the COVID situation? Was it an easy journey to get here, or was it difficult for you?
Well, yeah, it was absolutely easy. Yes, I did have to go through the RT-PCR test back home, and I had to bring the vaccination certificates. But beyond that, there was absolutely no complication. It was absolute cakewalk at the immigration in Bali. I think, as a matter of fact, I cleared immigration much faster than the pre-pandemic time. So, it was an absolute pleasant experience out here.
Well, that's certainly good news. I've actually been here before COVID, so the restrictions lifted, and it was just a nightmare. I had to come through Jakarta and quarantine and everything. So, look, thank God that things are getting better. There's certainly got a ways to go, as you were saying, but we're through, I think, hopefully the worst of the COVID blockages. With the PCR testing still a bit of an issue, the visa on arrival and the costs are becoming less prohibitive, I guess. So we're looking forward to a gentle or gradual increase in tourism. And you were saying that the market in India is a really significant market. Obviously, you've got 1 billion people or thereabouts in India, and they're all looking for tourism destinations, and this is a perfect opportunity. First of all, you've got a predominantly Hindu population here in Bali, which is very similar to a lot of your country. So what do you think it offers the Indian tourist, specifically in relation to the other Eastern countries?
Well, see, where we come from is a predominant Hindu population, and Bali being Hindu, I find most of the religious, family, social beliefs to be absolutely the same. I wouldn't even say similar, I would say same. And having come here so many times, you just tend to gel into the local population without any sort of effort from your side. They feel like you are part of them, and you feel like they're part of you, which makes a holiday much more easier. You're not looking behind your shoulder. Is somebody trying to pick my pocket, or I see that as a very big advantage, one. And two is the way the women are respected, the children are respected in Bali is pretty much similar to what it is back home, in India, which is a cause of concern for a lot of Indians when they want to travel abroad. There are other Southeast Asian destinations where that could become a big cause of concern, whereas in Bali, no, it's literally like a home away from home, and it's a holiday.
So how would you classify in a nutshell, what the easiest way you could describe the ideal Indian tourist for Bali? Is it young families? Is it newlyweds, honeymooners, party animals? What do you think Bali, what part of the society do you think Bali is probably attracted to most?
Great question. Okay, so let's take a typical Indian holidaying population. You first have the honeymooners, or you have the individual travelers, couples who are traveling together. You have young families without kids. You have young families with little kids. You have large families traveling along with elders in the family. Now, Bali as a destination offers something for everybody in the family. Okay, let me get into the detail. Let's start with the kids. The young kids, they have their water boom, and they have their theme parks, they have the zoos, they have the safaris, which is going to take care of them. The young couples have the beautiful beaches, the resorts, the honeymoon destinations, Kintamani and places like that. Absolutely romantic, beautiful, nature all around. That's for the young couples. For the young families, you have the malls, you have the shopping, which offers something for everybody. You want to go in for the branded boutique stuff, it's available. You want to go in for the handmade local stuff, it's available, with absolutely no compromise on the quality. You always get more bang for your buck in Bali than anywhere else in Southeast Asia.
I think in the world just about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And when it comes to older people, the one is the kind of respect that is shown to older people here by the locals. They're always willing to help.
It's I think, a very big part of their culture that the elder people are always looked after by the youngers, and
absolutely,
so that obviously goes through to the tourism side of things.
Yes.
They look up to their elders very much. It's very important.
I was walking past a couple of older people who'd come in from India, and I saw their chauffeur carrying the bags for them. And he didn't do it because it was his job. He did it because he didn't want the older people to be carrying their own shopping bags.
Sure.
It was out of the respect he had for them, which is something people in India really appreciate. So coming back to your question, as a destination, this is a 360-degree destination for an entire family in India. The configuration can be different. You want to have the wild side, the nightclubs, the pubs, yes, it's there. You want to have a sober holiday, you want a romantic holiday, you want a peaceful family, large gathering, or villa kind of holiday, it's all available here. It's just that Bali has not been discovered by too many Indians yet, versus your Thailand or Malaysia or Singapore. And I think it's just a matter of time. I think people are beginning to come here. Should happen soon.
I'm sure it will. I guess one of the things that I've been saying to the Australian market specifically, but not directly, no matter what type of food you like, you'll find it here in Bali. At the highest level. If you like teppanyaki, you can go to amazing teppanyaki. If you like amazing Wagyu steaks and stuff like that, you can find it right here in Bali. If you're vegetarian, if you're any cuisine that you like, you'll find it here in Bali. So you come from a country with a very specific cuisine standard, I guess. How do you find the basic food structure in Bali compared to what you find in India?
Well, a typical plate of meal in Bali is the exact plate which I have back home. So there's literally absolutely no difference, to what I have back home and in Bali. We have a bit of rice, we have a bit of greens, we have a bit of meat, we have a bit of crispies, and there's a bit of gravy. Now this is the typical Indonesian Balinese kind of a meal. Like you said, yes, you want sushi, you want steaks, you want sandwiches. We get everything here. Pizzas, burgers, whatever. But the basic Balinese food is exactly what we eat back home. The rice, the lentils, etc. And there would be no form of adaptation which is actually required for an Indian to adapt to Balinese food, because it is.
And the flavors are different, or are they very similar?
They're pretty much similar, because we do use a lot of we call it the masala powders, which kind of give them a unique flavor. Whereas here, most of the ingredients are natural, organic ingredients, which actually makes it a little more flavoursome compared to what it is back home.
Yeah, more complex, more depth to the
Yeah.
to the curries and stuff. It's not just a curry powder. It's actually a really deep.
Yeah.
And the heat of the food. Do you find it very similar to?
Very much similar. We eat a lot of spice, so that goes well with
tell you
us.
what, if you look at any of my back catalogue, me and spice don't agree with each other. I've had some, oh my god, I've had some horrible episodes with chilies.
I've seen you.
At one stage, I thought I was eating a bowl of green beans, and I just took a mouthful of them, and it turned out to be chilies, and I just about died. Honestly.
And sorry to cut you off there. You know, a typical Indian would enjoy the bite
Yeah,
of
look,
chili.
I didn't mind it, but I wasn't ready for it. So to me, from a Western palate, which is very bland compared to what you guys enjoy, and I love a good Indian curry, but I don't like a cheap Indian curry because, like you say, sometimes it's too much powder. If you ask for hot, they just put more chili powder, and to me, that's not a proper curry. That's actually just a mix. So what advantages do you see Bali having over other Southeast Asian holiday destinations?
Okay, let's take a couple of examples. Now, if you take Thailand, it's an overexploited destination and it has its own certain color to the entertainment, which may not gel well with an entire typical Indian family. You know,
It's quite an adult.
yeah, the boys may like it, the men may like it, but you know, it doesn't go beyond that. You take Singapore, yes, the family would like it, but any form of entertainment in Singapore is man-made. There's absolutely nothing natural out there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you take Bali, it has absolutely everything, and everything is just there naturally. You know, you have a volcano out here, you have the beach out here, you know, you have hot springs out here. Nothing is man-made, you know. And this place feels safe. Wherever you are, whatever time of the day or night you are, whether you are with a big gang or whether you're walking alone, the feeling of safety is something which is always there at the back of your mind. So, being on a holiday, there is no threat perspective. You know, you're not trying to get back to your hotel before a certain time and stuff like that,
Absolutely.
which is not the case with certain other countries in Southeast Asia.
Look, even in Jakarta or even Sumatra, I went up to Sumatra last month, and walking through the malls or walking through the markets, people are saying hide your wallets, pickpockets, and they're absolutely paranoid about people stealing the GoPro while I'm talking on it. It's crazy. So you'd never feel there is a little tiny bit of crime in Bali, like there is anywhere, I guess, but it's not something that features very much. And it's a little bit of common sense around Bali will keep you safe, whereas in other places, like you say, you have to be paranoid about where you are and who you're with and who's walking behind you and what time of day. And
your bags are zipped up,
Absolutely.
and you know, a whole lot of precautions. Another thing which I'm noticing during this trip, that is after the pandemic, is that everybody is so welcoming. You know, they're happy that you're back here. They're happy to see that you're shopping, you're eating
Very
out,
much.
and you know, you're buying stuff at the supermarket. They're just happy that you're doing your little bit to make the economy a little bit better, you know, to go back to the pre-pandemic levels, which actually feels good. You know, wherever you're walking, you know, people are smiling at you and saying, you know, welcome back and stuff like that. It feels like you walked into a large family, you know.
Yeah,
It doesn't
totally.
feel like you walked into a
and
country.
whether you're white or dark or
Oh, that
pink or
doesn't
green,
matter. Yeah.
it makes no difference whatsoever to them. They are
Absolutely.
just so
Yeah.
grateful that finally the tourists have come back. They didn't get any government subsidies. They didn't get any help from the local authorities. And the only reason they're still alive, literally, is because the community all chipped in together and helped each other out. Someone had a little bit extra rice, they'd share it around with each other. And that in itself is just testimony to their sharing and caring attitude, that Bali is a spiritual place. If you haven't been here before, it's not about being a Hindu or Muslim or being a Christian, whatever. It's a spiritual place. There is something special about the people, about the place, about the culture in this city or in this country, that just transcends anywhere else I've been in the world. And I've travelled just about to hundreds of destinations around the world. You see little offerings at the side of the road. You see the taxi's got a little offering on his dashboard. All over the place, people are giving thanks to their journey, to just being grateful. And one of the biggest things that been so surprised coming from Australia and New Zealand, where people are all caught up about the politics behind COVID, who caused it, did it escape from there, and is there a conspiracy, and is the vaccine really important, and so many political, mental issues that they're concerning their brain about for the last 2 years. That's been the topic, not how can we get over this and can we keep our families safe. It's been more about the conspiracy side of things. Not one person in Bali has complained about where COVID came from, or even complained about the fact that they haven't had a dollar from the government. They've just been grateful for anything they can get, and to me that just shows the sort of people they are, and the reason that I've been supporting them as much as I can since I've been here, and that I'm really trying to encourage anyone from anywhere around the world, if you want to come to the best destination that I've ever found, to meet the most amazing people, and to be in a place where if you're not from Bali, you're here to enjoy Bali, and you're here to party and have a good time, or relax and enjoy nature, or go bushwalking and hiking. No matter what you want to do, there's beaches with no waves, so you can take the kids, the young toddlers can paddle in the water. There's beaches, some of the best surfing beaches in the world are here, and pretty much everything in between. So like you were saying, 65 years old and can hardly move around, you can sit in a resort, you can get pampered, $5 for a 1 hour massage, and they're insane. Just beautiful what you can do with those magic hands.
You know, a very interesting note. For me, a holiday in Bali, the amount of money I spend on a day, on an average, is actually much lesser than what I spend living in my own home back home, you know.
So it's cheaper for you to stay here for a month than it is to stay at home.
I live in my own house.
That's incredible, right? Look, I'll put it into perspective, and let's talk in sort of somewhere between Australian and US dollars, just to give you a bit of an indication of the prices. I'm paying about $1 to $1.50 for a plate of food, for a nasi goreng or a fried rice or whatever, mee goreng with noodles. So a standard meal, if you just want to go and eat Balinese food, is $1.50 or $1. It's and beautiful food. The flavours are exquisite. The flavour profiles are just so complex and beautiful. It's not just a bit of sauce and a bit of rice. They really do care about how they put their foods together. And as far as Bali Belly goes, everyone's heard about the dreaded Bali Belly. My recommendation is there are so many food courts in Bali. Nearly every restaurant has and hotel has indigenous food, so they have Balinese food as well as Western food. Well, sometimes it's nice to have a bit of comfort from home, but sometimes it's nice to try and experiment. So I recommend not only in the hotels and the restaurants, but you go to some of the Balinese food courts where they're a little bit safer than just the vendor on the streets. Not that I've had a bad experience with the food carts, but I think it's a bit safer for someone who's got a sensitive digestive system to go somewhere where they can wash their hands and have better sanitation. But the foods here are just amazing, and they're so inexpensive.
One very interesting thing which I found in Bali is that the kind of restaurants that you're talking about, you know, they're not the very upmarket kind of a restaurant. They do not have cold storage, you know, which is actually a very comforting thing, because if they're going to get the meat today, they sell it out today, and they
buy
get
it at the market at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
And they sell it to you by the time they prepared it and made it at 10 o'clock the next morning.
Absolutely. So there's nothing that goes into the freezer for tomorrow, you know.
No.
So the food you eat is something that came into them today.
Absolutely.
And by end of the day, it's done, you know.
Yep.
Which is what, you know, going back to the Bali Belly, the last 12 years, I've not experienced it. I've experienced everything else in Bali, but luckily not this, you know.
Well, I'll be honest, I've had it twice since I've been here in 6 months. Both times it came from a fast food restaurant with the big M sign. I'm not saying any brands, but it was from a breakfast, a muffin that I had. Twice I've had that, and never since. My stomach is a bit sensitive to some of the spices, but I have absolutely bad experience with a muffin. So go figure. It's just a case of there are bacteria and there are diseases that live in other countries that people have more sensitive something. I don't think people from India would have anywhere near the sensitivities that people from the West that.
Well, we eat the same spice, etc., but it's just much better here because it's all fresh.
Yeah. So it's cheaper to stay here than it is to stay at home. You were saying, I think you were saying yesterday that to run the air conditioner at home in your house, it costs more to more to run your air conditioning at home to keep the house cold than it actually costs for accommodation here. And to be honest, I've seen accommodation from as low as $10 a day. $25 a day will get you quite a nice resort right close to the party district of Kuta. Look, while we're talking about about the cost of food and the cost of staying over here in Bali, you can hardly do that without mentioning the quality of the food is sensational. The coffee is some of the best coffee in the world. It is, and the fruit and the drinks.
Oh, so fresh.
It's incredibly fresh. So when you're paying 50 cents for one of the best coffees you can ever taste,
and every single day.
And you really do get spoiled here at a very, very small cost. And it's going to make it hard for me to go home because I've got used to it in the last 6 months. I'm going to go home and have to have the poor quality coffee, and I don't want to knock home, but I tell you what, when you're living in paradise, it certainly is hard to get used to not being here, and the cost of things, I think you start to take it for granted. Mobility and getting around in Bali, there's several ways to get around. I've spoken about it in some of my previous vlogs. I do not recommend Westerners jump on a scooter and drive around Bali because it's insane. The driving here is one of a kind. I don't know what it's like where you come from. It's probably fairly similar.
It's worse.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I've said before, I don't know if the Balinese are the best drivers in the world or the worst drivers in the world. In some ways, they're one of the best. They're very, very courteous drivers, but it's mayhem. It's absolute mayhem. But the one thing I will very strongly suggest is if you are coming over to Bali and trying to get around, the best way is to get a driver. They'll take you to places that you don't know about. I've driven past some of the best beaches in the world because I didn't know they were there. And the signage isn't so good over here. That's one thing I will say. In a lot of established countries, they have multiple language signage. It's easier to know where to go. There are so many activities and so many things to see in Bali, so many restaurants, so many hotels. Every single laneway, every alleyway, every major thoroughfare is just packed with little tiny warungs, little cafes, with restaurants, hotels, rental places, tourist guides, phone. Look, everything you see multiple times. It's everywhere, but it can be a bit overwhelming to know where to go and what to do. And every activity you can ask them, you can imagine, whether it's whitewater rafting or parachuting or pretty much anything, is available here in Bali. If you don't know where to go,
Yeah. So
that's a really difficult decision. Okay, so what do I do when I get here? What are my options? Now, one of the reasons I set my channel up was to try to give people an idea of some of the options available to them. But by far, the first thing I would say is get a tour operator. Do some homework before you come. The internet's a fantastic place now because, especially YouTube, you can scroll through. I've got 75 videos on my channel and they're growing every day about the sort of activities you can be doing in Bali. And that's just a brief description. There are hundreds of websites available. There are groups on Facebook all about tours and tour operators and guides. I've got some tour operators and you've got some guides as well. So at the end of this video, we'll put a link to some places you can go to ask specific questions, and you can actually ask me directly and I'll respond to you immediately and say, listen, this is what my recommendations are. And if I need a hand from you, we can certainly help.
Yeah, anybody from India,
answer the questions. Feel free to ask us, because I don't know the answer to every question, but I certainly know who to ask to get the right answer. And that's part of what I'm trying to do. I'm not running this as a business or a company. I'm doing this as just someone who's concerned about Bali and who's trying to set Bali up a little bit better, because they've been through a lot of trauma. It's like a natural disaster has just killed half of the businesses off, and they're trying to rebuild their lives. And the more tourism dollars they can get in, and the more generous. One thing I will say, if you are coming over here, be generous, because the Balinese survive on such incredibly tiny amounts of money that tipping them $1 a day or tipping them just a little bit extra than they would normally get makes a massive difference to them.
And something I like to add to that, when you go shopping, if you think you can afford to buy it at the price they're asking for, just give it to them, There is no need to bargain for the sake of bargaining, because it is expected that you bargain. Well, if you can afford it, please give it to them, because it makes a huge difference to their lives.
I've got a secret to doing that, and it's a little bit of a game I play, but I love to haggle. I love that bargaining. So If you walk in and you want one t-shirt, the first question they're going to say is, how many you want to buy? Yeah, how much for this? How many you want? I just want one. No, do three. Buy three, I'll give you a special price. So they'll start around $10 for a t-shirt. They'll finish at around $3 for a t-shirt. So somewhere between $3 and $10. You got to stop and think, okay, what's this t-shirt really worth? If I buy that t-shirt, it seems like a good quality. You can get cheap quality, you can get reasonable quality, and then get good quality here. So what's this worth to me in my home? It's worth probably $20 in Australia for me to buy that t-shirt. At $10 I'm getting a discount, a pretty good discount. At $3 I'm getting an insane price, but this person's probably not even making 50 cents out of it. At $5 I reckon I'm sharing a bit of the love with him and walking up with a really good bargain. So what I'll do is I'll still haggle. I'll start at $10, I'll bring him down to $5 or whatever I think it's worth, and then at the end of the transaction I've felt like I've won something, I've won it down to a good price, and you know what I'm going to do then? I'm going to give him $10. I'm going to give him a $5 tip or something, just because it's worth it. And it's worth it to see the look on their face and they go, oh my God, thank you so much, because they're sitting there going, come on, give me at least leave 50 cents in the job for me. So if you want to have that job, and everyone in Bali haggles, that's sort of the way way the system is. You come here to bargain, but then when I think about it, I'm arguing over 10 or 20 cents. That could be the difference between making $1 and not making $1 at all. So
Yeah, to add to that, just like what Murray was saying, even if you're going to give them only the $3, trust me, the body language and the warmth would still be exactly the same as what you'd give $10. For them, $3, $10, it's money, and you're giving them a livelihood. That's what matters.
it's gratitude, yeah. It's and they don't seem to walk around and go, oh, geez, you.
Yeah, no, that doesn't happen yet.
I guess my advice would be to someone who's not sure about where they should go, what the right place to do is, and you and I have got a very similar.
Ask you.
Yeah, exactly. Send us an email. I'll give you a place to start. And I'm not saying there's a lot of people who are going to rip you off, but there are certainly some smaller, less reputable businesses. There are some people that aren't even based in Bali that are trying to sell tours that don't exist. And certainly a lot of things that the online aspect of touring now is opening up to a lot of less reputable practices. So my advice would be stick to a recognised tour operator, and I've certainly got a whole list in my repertoire of people, drivers and tour operators that can book any tour, whether it's bathing with an elephant, zoos trips over to some of the outer islands. I know people who can pretty much book you there. Now I'm not making any money out of that. I'm just helping to plug you into a place that I know and I've personally used through people I recommend. And as my knowledge of these different operators grows, and I get good reports back from people like yourself that I'm talking to, then I'll start recommending them as well. So if you want to know where to go, I'm a young family with two small kids, and we want to be able to go to the beach. We want to be able to sit back and relax, spend a lot of time in the resort, maybe have some babysitting or something, so we can get out and have a bit of time away from the kids. Whatever you are looking to design. I'm a young couple on a honeymoon. We want to go to some romantic places. We want to swim with the dolphins or do something.
Hire a photographer.
Yep. What can I do? What do you recommend? And like I say, I'll try and get back to you. I can't guarantee it's going to be the next minute, but while certainly I've got hundreds of emails coming through just about every day at the moment, or people saying, can you please help me? And they're just people from Australia that I've been able to help already. But now we're opening up to different markets. I'm more than happy to start the floodgates opening up. And if you want to know where to go, by all means keep in touch, because that's what we're all trying to achieve, the same sort of thing. I'm over here trying to help the people of Bali. I've been donating meals and care packages to people all over the country, and if anyone wants to help me to look after the people in Bali, they'll also put a link at the end of this to the donate fund that I've been putting together to help us to feed the people of Bali. And there's other charities I've been involved in since I've been here that I've personally overseen the operation of, just to help out Bali. So I think the two of them go hand in hand. I'll help you, and all I ask in return is just a little bit of help, because $5 or $10 to me goes to feed a whole family for a week. It's incredible how far the money goes, but if we can use that money for good and ask just for a little bit of gratitude back for all the work that we're doing, I think it's a fair exchange.
Absolutely, yeah.
So don't send money through the internet. I would always recommend booking accommodation through places like Booking or Agoda or one of those Traveloka or something, because you've got guaranteed your money's safe until you're actually here. I've heard of people that have booked on some of these websites and the hotel doesn't exist or it's been shut down. But at least you've got comeback. You've got recourse. You can get a refund through places like that. Sending your money directly to a hotel, to me, is a disaster waiting to happen, especially when you don't know if that hotel even exists. They could be photographs, or the hotel could have shut down over the last few months. So be a little bit careful. It's not as safe as it used to be because there's been a complete 2.5 year disconnect. But in some ways it's safer. This place has got rid of a lot of those.
But definitely safer than a lot of other countries.
Oh, look, you can't compare this.
It's not doom and gloom.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit of buyer beware. I think.
Just
Stick
like you said.
Stick to the smart places.
Just use common sense before you take a decision. That's about it.
Money. A quick thing about money, because it does affect a lot of people. Would you recommend bringing your money over here and changing it, or what I suggest for my experience is leave the money in a bank through an ATM card, walk up to the ATM, take the money out, because that card is insured nearly always, especially if it's a credit card. If you take the money out through ATM, you get very minimal bank charges usually, and you're safe. You're not walking around with a belt full of money. So,
so typically, let me tell you, for an Indian, we exchange it to US dollars back home.
Yep.
And 100 US dollars gets us 1.4 million rupiah.
Yeah.
So 1.4 million rupiah is like,
it's a lot of money.
yeah, it's a lot of money. Let's say we're carrying $1,000 for a holiday. We're looking at, almost 15 million rupiah, upwards of that. Now, we have certain things unique to India. If I put in a debit card into the ATM, the charges are going to be much more than what I pay to transfer to a US dollar and come back here and make it into Indonesian rupiah. So these little things is something which you may not find online, These are questions which could be there, and people said, could I use an ATM? How much extra do I get charged, etc. So these are questions which can, you can push it to him, you can push it to me. More than happy to help you answer them. And these little details is which, where people like me who have been here for more than 12 years would be more than happy to answer.
Perfect. So your recommendation at this point would be change your money over to US dollars.
Yeah.
Leave it safely in the safe at the hotel.
Yes.
Don't walk around with it in your pocket. People ask me how much is it going to cost a day to stay, to go tripping around or whatever. Just to give you, and we'll speak in US dollars. It's going to cost you about $40 or $50 for a day for a driver. That's car, petrol, and unlimited use of where he's going to take you wherever you want to go, take you to the shopping centre, take you to the waterfalls, take you to the water park, or sightseeing, to the temples, to anywhere you want to go for a day. He's going to pick you up from the hotel at usually about 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. You're best off to start early because the traffic gets pretty hectic, so you want to get out of the city as quick as you can to get to where you're going. And sometimes you might not be back till 6 o'clock that night. But there's so many beautiful places to go and to visit, to check out. So that's going to cost you about 40 or 50 US dollars. If you're going into most of these places, many of them are pennies in the dollar. We're not talking $100 entry to something. Some of the bigger tours, some of the boat rides and the snorkeling trips might be a little bit more because you've got third-party vessels and ferries and stuff. But generally, I say to people, if you spend $100 a day per person, that's a lot of money. In fact, the average couple, by the time you work out $1 or $2 for food per person per meal, and 50 cents for a drink of coffee, or $1 for a large bottle of Coca-Cola or something, whatever, the cost of goods over here is so small that $100 a day is probably enough for two people to have a great holiday, generally, until you start spending and buying souvenirs and stuff like that.
No, I think $100 you can live like royalty here.
Absolutely. It's
royalty.
crazy how much you can get for your money. So if you want some idea, just a rough guide, and it depends on what you want to spend and whatever, but still, it's still a pretty good guide on what you can do and how far your money will go. If you wanted to rent a scooter for the day, it's less than $10 a day. I definitely would not recommend it for the first couple of trips, because you really need someone to show you around. You're going to miss all the good things, all the great spots, and there's not a lot of good signposting, and it's a bit of how do I get there, where do I go, and unless you've got Google Maps sitting on the front of that scooter, you're not going to know what to do. So get a tour operator, get a guide. It's so cheap that they can take you anywhere you want for half the cost, and you're really going to get good value for money. So that would be my recommendation. Don't have a lot of money on you, because it's just inviting dramas. If you leave your bag in a taxi or something happens, you open the wallet, there's a whole big pile of that, millions of rupiah there. Someone's going to turn around and see that, and you don't want to attract that sort of attention. The beaches are clean, certainly in the main tourist areas. You don't even have to. There's someone standing there looking after your beach umbrella and the towels and your watches and your handbags and stuff while you're off having a swim. It's that safe a place.
It's very safe, and the second thing is you can be assured that everything is going to be there in your bag when you get back.
Absolutely.
You don't need to come back and take an inventory of what you left back. That safety is something which Bali always offers to anybody who's coming there.
Yep. I would be careful if you're changing money. Go to a proper money changing place. You'll see some small booths or small money changing agents down some of the lanes and the gangways. Don't go to a small little operator. Check to see if there's a commission, and they always post the exchange rate on the outside of their booth. So know what you should be getting when you get there, and double count your money. When they hand it back, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Count it back again before you walk out the door, because once you're out the door, and that used to be a big scam. I haven't seen it since, and luckily a lot of those cheaper scam operators that were here for years in Bali have all gone because they went broke because of COVID. So in some ways, COVID's actually fixed Bali, some of the problems in Bali. But just be careful. You're going to have an absolutely amazing trip. Whether you want to go and sit on a beach, whether you want to learn to surf, you can learn to surf for $10 a day. You can do anything you can imagine. You can eat any type of food in the world right here in Bali, and you're going to do it for less than it costs you to stay at home. And that's the unbelievable. What's a flight to Bali from here, from your place?
US dollars, say around $350.
$350.
Yeah.
Okay, so for $350, and your cost of accommodation here, you spend. Okay, let's take this place. This is a beautiful resort, just on the main street of one of the main streets of Bali. The beach is about 2 minutes over that way, 5-6 minutes to walk over there. What are you paying to spend like 5 or 6 days here?
So I'm staying here for the last 8 days, and for 8 days together, I'm paying around $120.
That's insane. $120 for 8 days.
Like I said, it's just cheaper to stay here than stay back at home.
And you've got an air-conditioned room, you've got a rooftop pool, you've got a beautiful restaurant downstairs.
A restaurant, a bar downstairs, we have a spa at the basement. We have the works.
You've got security parking here, you've got a beautiful, I see there's families here, there's young couples, there's singles here. You're right, you want to go outside, go shopping, it's right out the front door. There's so much shopping in this area, so you've got everything you want. You've got tour operators downstairs as well that'll organise to get drivers.
Yeah, and this is not the only hotel here. We probably have 100 hotels like this all around.
Literally, within probably 10 minutes walk, there'd be 100 hotels.
It's just that it is you who has to decide what is that you expect from the holiday, and then go about deciding what kind of hotel, which kind of area, what is that you want to do, and then it makes your holiday really memorable.
Yes. Okay, so the easiest way to take it further is I'm going to leave a couple of websites or email addresses at the end of this video or in the description field. Right here is my website and my email address. Send me an email, and then there's your email address as well.
Yes,
we'll put it up.
Definitely.
And if you've got a question, just a nice simple question, give us as much detail as you can. I'm a young family, I'm a young couple, I'm a single male, I want to go night clubbing, I want to party on, I've got a family including elder people.
You could ask us anything, we're fine with it.
You tell us what you want, we'll try and give you some ideas on where to go. We're not going to specifically go in and micromanage your whole holiday, but we can certainly put you onto a good start. This place is what you make of it. If you've booked something on booking.com or something where they've got a cancellation policy, if you don't like it where you go, it's easy to move to the next place. In fact, I've left motels I haven't been happy with, and for the $10 I lost to go somewhere else to get a better place, I've been more than happy. So look, thank you so much. It's interesting to hear it from a different perspective, and it's nice to be able to I guess understand that it's not just a place for Aussies or for Brits or something that want to come over. This is a universal destination.
Absolutely.
It's one of the best destinations in the entire world, and as long as people that are coming here respect the culture and the lifestyle here in Bali, then I say bring on, come on down. This is it's a holiday you'll never forget, and I guarantee that you'll be back. It's not somewhere you'll come once and say, that you'll be back here, and like most people, at least every year, because it's a beautiful place to come.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Absolute
Very much
pleasure.
appreciate your help and your assistance, and I hope that we see many more of your friends. And if you're coming over, look me up. I'll see you when you get here.
Bye bye.
Cheers, guys.